right. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Hunter.
Good morning, Hunter.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Today we have a very special service that Kiera wanted to compose all herself, called The Spirit of Creativity. And she's got some great imagery going for us already. So let's begin. If we could all say this together. We light this chalice,
which sustains us
for the sacred circle
for the sacred circle of life in which we have our being, for the earth, the sky, above and below, and for our Mother Earth, and for the mystery.
I can't see it. Oh man, I can't see it. I can't see the words.
You can't see it, Daniel?
No. I can see all the people, but not you.
Are you on your phone?
No, on my computer, but I don't know what's going on. I think.
You might need to pull up another window or click the zoom button again.
Oh, okay. I see what I did. Oops.
Okay. If anyone has a joy or concern that they want to share this week, feel free to raise your hand and I'll you. Looks like Linda.
Linda, yeah. Can you? My joy and my concern too is about Bob. I've talked before about how he fell in April, and he's had quite a lot of pain. I think it's the pain somewhat better. He's using a cane instead of a walker to walk, and he's set up now to have shots in his 2 discs in his back and have physical therapy. So we're hoping that he's going to feel better and have more movement. So keep your fingers crossed. Thank you.
Thanks. Kiera?
Okay, so it's not actually my mom.
Okay.
It's not actually my mom doing the joy of the concern. It's me saying, recently, like this summer, I've been going over to my grandparents' house to clean pools. And my dad and I realized that, we haven't really connected much. So we agreed that tomorrow at about 10, we're going to go bowling. It's going to be really fun.
That's awesome. Thanks, Jazz. Any other joys and concerns? All right. If there's nobody else, we can go ahead and say this together. For the joy shared, we join you in celebration. For the sorrows spoken here, may you feel our sympathy and compassion. For all that remains unspoken, both joy and sorrow, the dream of our community.
Offer you both kindness and hope.
Committed to respond to the call of a wounded world, we join together this day with loving hearts, hands, and minds, embracing the interconnected web of water, air, and earth. We light a fire of sustaining hope, ever bright with love and justice. May we bring forth this day new wisdom, strength, and courage to create a new world, not of wealth, but well-being, a world of new peace and abundance for all. As we give thanks for this earth, our shared and singular home, may we dedicate ourselves to its ongoing care, rising to the calls deep within us and all around us. May we respond today and always with courage and with love.
raindrops high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, and the dream that you did to, oh why can't I? Well, I see trees of green and red roses too. I watch them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Well, I see skies of blue and I see clouds of white and the brightness of day. I like the dark and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, singing, how do you do? They really say, I love you. I hear babies cry and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than we'll know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where trouble melts like a lemon drops high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. The dream that you dare to, why, oh why can't I?
All right. I will read the regular text if we could all read the bold text. The womb of stars. The womb of stars embraces us. Remnants of their fiery flame pulse through our veins.
Stars, the dust.
The other stars,
Dust of explosions cast across the space.
We are of the earth. We breathe and live in the breath of ancient plants and beasts.
Their cells nourish the soil, build our community and their harvest of gifts.
Fingers trace the curves carved in clay and stone by forebears unknown to us.
We are a part of the great circle of humanity, gathered around the fire, the hearth, the altar.
Gather anew this day to celebrate our common heritage.
May we recall in gratitude all that has given us birth.
Looks like we got something from Philip here. All right.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping. And the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp. I turned my collar to the cold and damp, when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. In the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs that voices never share, and no one dare disturb the sound of silence. Fool, said I, you do not know, silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you, take my arms that I might reach you, but my words like silent raindrops fell and echo in the wells of silence. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made, and the sign flashed out its warning in the words that it was forming. And the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls, and whisper in the wells of silence.
Awesome. Thanks, Philip. You're a part of the mystery. Spirit of life, mysterious power in all creation. We gather before you now, as countless others have stood, asking that you make yourself known to us. Let us find you in the glories and wonders of the world, and in moments of great joy and ecstasy. But most of all, let us find you in the commonplace, in that which we touch every day. Let us find you in the familiar, almost we touch every day. Find you in ourselves, the center of our being. Teach us in the careless, casual moments when we do not ask to be taught. And let us know that we are, indeed, part of the mystery. If we could all take a moment to meditate. Thanks, Bruce. All right. Now, Kiera will share with us this sermon called The Spirit of Creativity.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. This sermon is called The Spirit of Creativity. It's by Barbara Wells. While I believe it is true that no one can take your creativity away from you, there are those who would sure try. Each of us have been discouraged at some point in our lives by someone who came along and saw something we had created, like a drawing or a clay sculpture as a child, and quashed our artistic pursuits with an insensitive critique. We began to think, since I have no talent, I must not make a fool of myself with my silly amateur attempts at sculpture or drawing. No one will like them anyway. And I think that what was done was a crime against the soul. Now, I realize these are strong words, but I believe they are true ones, because in my mind, the creative spark that leads to art of all kinds is not simply talent or skill. I believe that the spark of creativity is holy, and that it is one of the most important elements of our humanness. I believe that the human spirit is blessed with extraordinary creativity, and it is through this creativity that some of the best elements of humanity emerge. And I believe that when we take the risk to open ourselves to deeper and more challenging creativity, we become better and more spiritually centered people. Let's reflect for a moment on the connection between art and spirituality in Rebecca Baggett's poem, God and the Artist's Colony. So this is the poem, God and the Artist's Colony by Rebecca Baggett. Talking at dinner, we discover how many of us have fundamentalist families, mothers and sisters, stricken with gifts of tongues, ponderous deacon fathers, brothers who praise Jesus for every red light missed. God rides them, we decide, the way our art rides us. Perhaps God is their art, driving them towards that perfect abnegation, that desire to open themselves and let Him fill them, use them, just as we, alone here, locked in our separate cells, struggle to surrender self and let our blankness fill with words, light, music, images. Here the author compares the fundamentalist God to the driving force artists often feel. She imagines all the artists in their rooms at the artist's colony, each of us moving, aching towards that private alleluia, revelation, yes. Artists have often struggled to understand their art in relation to God. Some of the best art ever created is religious art. Yet art has been, in our modern culture, to a large degree separated from religion. These days, few artists speak openly of their spiritual longings, and many religious leaders today have little positive to say about art or music, unless to criticize it for mocking their values. Yet I believe art and spirituality are powerfully connected. One source that helped me to understand this connection was a book written 30 years ago by the writer Chaim Potok called My Name is Asher Lev. Like so many of Potok's novels, this book invites us into a world unfamiliar to most of us, the world of very conservative religious Jews called Hasids. Asher Lev is a Hasidic Jew born in Brooklyn shortly after the Second World War and the Holocaust. His father is a traveler who moves around the world trying to save Jews from the fate of the 6 million. It is serious business. When Asher Lev is born, it is assumed that he will follow in his father's footsteps. But instead, Asher discovers in himself the gift of art. Not just talent or skill, Asher Lev is blessed or cursed with an extraordinary gift to draw and paint at a level not unlike the young Mozart's gift of music. This gift was unasked for and in many ways undesired. His artistic ability made him suspect in the conservative religious community where he was born and raised, a community which did not appreciate this remarkable ability he had. Yet Asher Lev could not deny the call to his art. He knew his father didn't understand it. He felt his mother's pain as she tried to encourage him without angering her husband. He bore the taunts of his classmates. He did so because he could not deny the powerful force that was his artistic creativity. When, for a short period, he gave up his art, it almost killed him. Only when he answered the call could he become whole and grow into his humanness, but it did not come without a cost. Asher Lev, the artist, the creator, was torn asunder by the power of his artistic gift. He discovered how truly difficult it was in his world, in our world, to understand and answer the call of creativity, particularly when everyone around you insists that what you are doing is wrong, maybe even evil. For here is where his story becomes something truly heartrending. When he has finally matured into his art, he begins to paint the story of his family and their suffering. Asher Lev, Hasidic Jew, found that he had to use the crucifixion as a metaphor in a series of paintings that featured the faces of his mother and father. For a Jew to use such a symbol was anathema. Yet Asher Lev knew he must answer the call to his truest self, and his true self insisted on the crucifixion, one of the most powerful symbols of suffering, as a metaphor. And in answering this call to his true self, he alienated those he loved the best, his mother and father. His call to creativity was fraught with pain as well as joy, yet he found in answering it a connection to the life force that both creates and destroys. In other words, he began to truly understand God through his creativity. At the end of the book, he finds he has to leave his religious community, at least for a while. Chaim Potok writes in the voice of Asher Lev, "I looked at my right hand, the hand with which I painted. There was power in that hand, power to create and destroy. There was in that hand the demonic and the divine at the same time. The demonic and divine were two aspects of the same force. Creation was demonic and divine. Creativity was demonic and divine. Art was demonic and divine. I was demonic and divine. Asher Lev paints good pictures and hurts people he loves." Then he hears the voice of God reply, "Then be a great painter, Asher Lev. That will be the only justification for all of the pain you will cause. Journey with me, my Asher. Paint the anguish of all of the world. Let the people see the pain." Asher Lev does so, even though to answer the call of his art is excruciating. Asher Lev discovers that through his call to creativity, he becomes fully human and also fully connected to the divine. He learns that authentic art is not always beautiful or easy. He learned that his spirit could only be whole when he lived his creativity. Now, I know that most of us are not born with this kind of artistic gift. There are always only a handful of humans alive at any time who manifest such rare and extraordinary talent in any artistic field. But all of us are blessed with the ability to create, the ability to be creative. It is an essential part of our humanity. How our creativity manifests itself is as unique as our individual spirits. Extraordinary artists can also intimidate us and make us think that only they can truly be creative. One of the greatest lies, again, told to children is that you have to have talent to be a successful artist. No, you have to have passion. Even those of us who are not exceptionally talented in a certain area bring to our life gifts and creative impulses. Too often, however, our creativity may be stifled by ignorant people. Or perhaps we have been unwilling to try something creative because we know it won't sound or look perfect. As someone who loves to sing, I often hear people say how much they love music, but how scared they are to open their mouths for fear the wrong note will come out. And others who would love to get on a stage with makeup and costume don't because they fear ridicule. And of course, other forms of creativity abound. Our culture tells us you have to be an expert to be an engineer or a carpenter or a teacher or a dancer. Yet how many of us would love to build or design or share our gifts or move because our spirits long to? Of course, we want an expert to design and build a bridge for us, but what creativity is being lost because someone is not allowed to put on paper or in building blocks a creative idea that just might work? The street artist Jean-Michel Basquiat stated, "Art is how we decorate space. music is how we decorate time. You can be called to your creative means in a myriad of ways. Creativity is not bound to only music or visual arts. Creativity is also found in the teacher who willingly changes her lesson plans when her young charges discover a spider worth watching. It is found in the graffiti artist who adorns the blank walls of a city subway station. It is found in the poet who chooses this word over that one and pronounces it just right. It is found in the gardener who trims the yew bushes in the shape of a dragon. It is found in the person who makes beauty using the intricate calligraphy of the Orient. It is found in each of us as we go about our daily lives, opening our hearts to the power of the creativity all around us. And it is here, in this church, as we go about the wonderful and awe-filled task of creating community. For to do so takes creativity. It takes a willingness to be open to possibility. It takes a passion for people and ideas and feelings. It makes of non-teachers teachers, and non-singers singers, and non-dancers dancers. We are the creative process at work, my friends, and that process is holy. It is also scary. Creativity, as Asher Lev discovered, is not always something that moves easily through us. Creativity requires a willingness to take risks. I offer this quote recently from the comedian Oswald Patton to his wife Michelle McNamara as she was writing her true crime masterpiece on the Golden State Killer. Every creative object wants the safety and warmth of staying inside your head. You're trying to drag it out into the light. It takes enormous courage to place one's art in front of another and let them into that private place from whence the creative spirit emerges. But most art is not made whole unless it is shared. A painting no one sees or a piece of music no one hears is mostly meaningless. Our creativity is meant to be shared, but the sharing of it can be frightening. It is tempting to hide our creativity in a box and never take it out for others to see or experience, but I believe that taking the risk to share ourselves with others in creative ways is a profoundly spiritual process. Our spirits cannot grow if we don't take risks. We may fail. In fact, I can say with quite a lot of certainty and experience that we will fail, at least now and again. But such failure is how we learn and grow. It is also how we exhibit our humanness. I also believe that creativity is an essential way to understand our spirituality. We are co-creators with God, and that is in the creative process that we can touch holiness and become one with the divine. God challenges us to throw out our preconceived notions of art, that the artist must be talented and or professional, and instead seek to discover the artist, the creator that lives in each of us. We must return to an understanding of the artist and creative urges as inherently spiritual. I lament the tendency in the West to make art the purview of professionals and remind us that in the not so distant past, people had little opportunity to simply watch or listen to music or painting or dance or theater. Before the advent of recording devices, most people made their own music, learned to draw and dance, and used their creativity in a variety of simple ways. Today, much of our creative spirit has been dampened by the tendency to think we have to be talented or strive for perfection in our creative endeavors. But as the poet Lisa Colt writes, perfection is nowhere. And that is just what I'm trying to teach about art and creativity and its place in our spiritual lives. It's a powerful message and one I want to reiterate here. The act of creation, whether a painting, a poem, a dance, a sermon, a lesson plan, or even a government report, this act of creating is one of the most spiritual things we can do. Why is this? Because our spirituality is, I believe, that part of our being which is continually evolving and growing in response to the world around us and the world within us. If we stifle our creativity, we run the risk of smothering our spirits. Spirit needs the lively interaction of creative hearts and hands and minds to keep it alive and growing. People can actually die when deprived of beauty, and I have seen the spiritual death that occurs when people lose or have forced out of them the ability to be creative. So, dear ones, I challenge us all to take the risk of being creative, and let's see what it does to our spirits. If we can recognize that each of us will express our creativity in our own unique ways, take failure with good humor, learn from our mistakes, and keep trying new things, maybe we'll be like that old lady who learned to scuba dive at 86. No, we won't be perfect, but as the poet has taught us, perfection is nowhere. It is my hope that our church can be a community where our imperfect, creative spirits can find a home. It is my hope that this church can be a place where everyone can bring their whole selves, where we can touch the deep spirit of creativity that lives in each of us and in the universe and make it come alive. What we create in our individual lives matters, and what we create here matters too. May we be blessed with the abundance of creativity and use it to make this world just a little more beautiful, a little more exciting, a little more whole. I hope you guys like that. That was something that I thought spoke to me as an artist, and about taking chances and putting ourselves out there and bringing more creation to this world.
That was a really good choice. Thanks, Kiera.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and in this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and in this we live.
Thanks, Scott, and thanks, Bruce. All right, if we could all say this together. When we take fire from our hands, it does not become less,
Less,
it becomes more.
it becomes more,
Extinguish
and so
our
we extinguish our candle.
its light and warmth with us.
Thus
Define
melting
their
night,
power
their power by all of our lives and sharing it with the world.
By the power, by all our lives, and sharing it with the world.
All right. We need volunteers for September. And if you are visiting today, please sign our guest book at this URL right here. All right, next week we have Linda giving the Cathedral of the World sermon, which is based on Forrest Church's writings. And then Carol Rice will be giving Peace and Principles on the 30th. And we got 4 slots for September. So let me or Scott know if you would like to read a sermon. right, and then we can close out. Scott's ready.
May I who live be true unto my being, one in my thoughts, my words, and every deed. I was born free, the never-changing river is what I am, and neighbors, so are you. We have the power through laughter, love, and tears to face all fears and live forever free. In this community, we give and we receive. May we go forth now to share the bounty of our love.
That was awesome, Kiera. Thanks for doing that.
Thanks so much.
Together.
Yeah, you could ask me about any of the artwork in there too.
Oh yeah.
Carefully chosen. That one that looked like an elk, that is really cool. That is a Native American who he does all of his paintings based off of what agate looks like. And so if you go back to it, it kind of has that look of the stone. And then, you know, they use whatever his particular tribe is. So that one was an elk, and it's like the elk calls us, and they're all based off different spirit animals. And then there's a lot of Alex Gray artwork in there. I don't know if anybody knows him. That's all pretty interesting
I've
artwork.
seen these stuff before.
Yeah, yeah.
We had a guest,